Leave your comments on the Ask Reddit sub, and I'll read your answers on the next episode of LWIAR 2. If you voted for Donald Trump in 2016 but won't in 2020, what changed your mind? 42 years old. I never voted for anybody because I grew up believing it didn't matter who got elected. They were all just different brand names for the same bullcrap. I will be voting this time because I see now that it can matter who's in that office. I hope this makes my entire generation never forget that it matters. Same, but in Texas. Voted for the first time in 2018 down ballot Democrat. This has just gotten so out of freaking hand. Edit. Biggest what-ifs in Texas history. 1. The Oilers fight off the Bills' fourth quarter comeback in '93 to win the AFC and play the Cowboys in an all-Texas Super Bowl. 2. The Rockets accept the Blazers' trade offer of Ralph Sampson for Clyde Drexler plus number 2 overall pick in the '84 draft, and the Rockets draft Olajuwon per Megajoule at number 1, number 2 and 3. We get Beto v. Cruz in 2020 rather than in 2018. This is my first time I get to vote in a presidential election, and I'm mildly frustrated that these are the two options that I get. The problem is that no one gets involved in politics till it's been boiled down to a few choices. And those choices are always what the people who engage early, so, establishment folks, push for. So a lot of people who want more choices get angry and frustrated because they don't have more that. A few crappy options, ignoring the fact that if they just got involved in the election right after the big one, they might find and support and promote a candidate they do like. If you want to vote your conscience, awesome, but work for that crap when the candidate you want is still available. Fellow Texan here. I once shouted, "Trump 2016," at an amusement park because I was an idiot for thinking that idiot wouldn't be elected in a million years. Was a dumb 20-year-old who didn't vote at the time because A. I don't like this guy, but I'm pretty sure enough people also don't like him, so I'll let them vote for Hillary. Laziness. Apathy. By 2018 I started paying attention to our politics. Trump was no longer a meme of stupidity. I realized he was a genuine threat to us all and would sell us out again and again if it benefited his selfish gain. TL. Doctor. Never paid attention to politics until Trump. For the last 4 years, the GOP is the most evil thing I've witnessed my entire life. Voted in 2018. Democrat. Left-wing all the way. If it helps at all. I'm 43 and I'm in shock at how terrible it went. Who knew we were one president away from teetering on the edge of authoritarian dictatorship? Eye-opening. Me in 2016, A. Better than Hillary. Me in 2020, nope. It's absolutely wild to me that people looked at Trump, who never hid how awful he was, and never held a real job in his life, and thought that he was somehow better than a woman who has been in politics for decades. Edit. I mostly lurk and rarely comment on Reddit, and this has become my most interacted post, and someone awarded me a silver for some reason. Thanks. I thought, he's being obnoxious to rile up voters and will eventually chill the *** out once in office. I was wrong. Same. I wanted someone to shake up the establishment. Hillary was just another politician. Regret it all now. Consider the establishment shaken. Real shaken. Can we stop shaking please? I want off this ride. What exactly was it? I've been curious for the past few years what exactly it was that made her so unpopular. As far as I can tell, the only things I know are, she's a woman. IK left-wingers might not care, but some on the right would. Association with Bill Clinton, the emails. Still, what the frick? Benghazi. These are mostly flimsy, except the last, which I don't fully understand. But what was it that turned so many normal Democrats off voting for her? Edit. Should just clarify the list is just reasons to dislike her I've seen from across the political spectrum. Hence, she's a woman. I don't believe too many left-wingers defected BC of her gender. Edit 2. Could anybody please provide a link to a decent source on these numerous allegations? Decades of propaganda by the right painting her as the most evil woman ever. She's a war hawk firmly in the pocket of Wall Street who has no core beliefs, and I didn't vote for gay rights or civil rights until it was already popular to do so. Edit. I voted for Jill Stein because people keep asking me for some reason. Edit. LMAO, you all are insane. She's an old hippie moon crystal grandma who loves trees. Get help. She's a war hawk. No. She's not a war hawk. She believes in more intervention than, say, Bernie, after witnessing Rwanda under Bill's watch. But to call her a war hawk is entirely misleading. Her vote for giving Bush authority WRT the Iraq War was not because she wanted war, but because had she not voted for it she believed the chances for war would have been higher. Sounds complex, because life is like that sometimes. But watch her 10-minute speech when she was voting to give Bush that authority. Civil rights, to what are you referring? Her husband signed the 1994 crime bill, the one Bernie voted for, and which was widely supported by black leaders. Anything else? She did far more to fight for civil rights than Bernie did throughout the late 60s and 70s. He went to a march, and that was it. So did McConnell. She lawyered up for black folks, exposed segregationist schools, and more. No core beliefs. That's just, like, your opinion, man. And it's pretty clearly wrong if you look at the width and breadth of her career and public statements. She was fighting for universal healthcare before most Redditors had been born, and continued to fight for it even when they refused to learn that universal healthcare and single-payer aren't synonyms. Gay rights. She was ahead of the curve on gay rights. As SOS, it wasn't her place to advocate for gay marriage, but she strongly advocated for gay rights internationally. Gay rights are human rights. Bernie didn't advocate for gay marriage until it was popular among his constituents. She had a large backing in the gay community, and that ain't an accident. TBF, had she shown emotion she probably would have been painted as an emotional, weak woman. I am far from a Hillary supporter. I didn't like her either, but I saw her as far and away better than Trump, just as I dislike Biden more than Hillary even, but he is also the lesser of two evils. What about Hillary scared you? Edit. I can't reply to everyone asking why I dislike Biden, but it's mostly that he's creepy and ignores personal boundaries. His policies are mostly fine. Stuff like this makes him creepy. Edit 2. Also, while I agree on most of the things to dislike about Hillary, I was mostly asking what was scary. I'm learning things that I didn't know before, but I still think she was better than Trump. Perhaps not Biden. Edit. Perhaps Hillary isn't better than Biden, is what I meant. Edit. Thought I was done, but apparently since I didn't call Trump creepy, people think I'm saying Biden is creepy but Trump isn't. Trump is creepier. He is worse in every way. I totally feel you, but I have a hard time getting my head around the idea that Trump was somehow the more trustworthy of the two. Douche and turd sandwich for sure. That's pretty much every politician ever. Well, except Bernie, who has been consistent for decades even when his opinion was unpopular and he was voting against the majority of both parties. But practically every other politician is that way. Also, isn't that what politicians are supposed to do? They should make decisions based on what their constituents want. As public opinion shifts, politicians should shift their views, too. I was barely 18 when I voted. I was still a senior in high school. I grew up in an extremely conservative town with opinionated parents and a lack of access to the outside world. I wasn't allowed on any social media. Then I went to college and met people of other races, creeds, sexualities, and I learned empathy. I regret my choice, and I know that the Trump administration has caused a lot of pain and suffering for a lot of people. I am trying to do my part by educating myself and calling people out on their bullcrap whenever I'm in my hometown. Edit. Thank you everyone so much for the support and the gold. Don't forget to vote. Unfortunately, you aren't alone. Many kids are in your situation but end up never leaving. They stay in the same small communities that are shut off from the real world. I see people talking about my hometown, Portland, like it's some kind of battlefield right now, but really it's super chill and the protests have been super peaceful minus what the police and feds have done. Donald Trump said if he didn't intervene there would be no Portland, and it scares me that people could believe him. The divide in America is mainly between those who live in urban cities and those who live in rural areas. The GOP focuses on wedge social issues because they know that people in rural towns are less likely to have experience with anyone who is different from them. Genuine question. If you didn't like a limousine liberal establishment candidate, why would you vote for an old-ish money New York billionaire? I mean, it's pretty obvious even if he is rich. Pretty much everyone hates him. Mainstream media hates him. Establishment from both parties hate him. Wall Street hates him. Silicon Valley hates him. Hollywood hates him. Guess who else hates all of these people? Pissed off blue-collar workers. In 2016 a whole bunch of people just voted out of rage looks like. Instead of detailed policy to all the people saying he was establishment. Have we forgotten how he humiliated the Bush family? He is absolutely the only one with balls to say Twin Towers came down under Bush's watch. In a Republican primary on national television. And how he went after Romney, McCain and many others on Iraq War. God knows how many people were waiting for someone to tell that to these people on their face. That's a pretty great synopsis of what happened. The regular people hate the people in power so freaking much that when someone finally squirmed their way into the contest that every single one of the people in power hated, the regular people chose him. Even though the regular people had never liked the guy, they forgot that, because they finally saw an enemy of the elite with a chance. Problem is, he's only an enemy of the elite because he's an enemy of everybody on earth. This is me in a nutshell. Feel like a complete idiot. But Hillary screamed establishment, and her campaign felt like a coronation. And the Trump campaign did a good job of feeding off of that. Plus, I thought, there's no way in hell he will win. So my vote really doesn't matter and it's more of a statement against the establishment. This time around, we've all seen Trump's bullcrap. Learned my mistake the first time. What does establishment mean in the way that you used it and why is it bad? That's a great question. While I tend to vote for Democrat candidates, Trump being an outlier, I feel that both parties cater to the wealthy upper class. I feel as if they control both sides of this debate. And either way we vote would still get them what they want. Trump was an outsider, he hadn't had a career in politics, and he was good at portraying an image of being the outsider. It seemed as if he was legitimately shaking things up. I didn't see how it could be this bad though. I'm ready for a return to the status quo, haha. Boost this crap because people need to see that growth is amazing and changing your mind is healthy. Edit. Literally what the hell happened to the reply section on this comment? It spiraled so quick. Wouldn't it be amazing if changing your position became thus a sign of an adaptive, reasoning mind, instead of the idea that someone is a flip-flopper? Similarly though, we should hear out people that voted Democrat in 2016, and won't be doing so in 2020. I don't expect Reddit to welcome that kind of ideological transition, but I think it would be ironic to applaud this particular brand of open-mindedness while ignoring others. And then BSP. And then BSP. Edit. I've literally been banned from our AskReddit over this thread. What the frick? Please, go through my comment history and tell me if this was even remotely reasonable. I welcome it. And then BSP. Edit. To those attacking my political views. This wasn't supposed to be political at all. If you could read the comment the mods deleted. It said, and I quote, "I'm not a Republican myself. Not by a long shot. I'm not trying to make a political point. I'm just saying that sometimes Reddit doesn't fully acknowledge that open-mindedness is a two-way street." And then BSP. Another edit. Thank you for all that reached out with your support. It really does mean a lot to me. I've reached out to the mods of our AskReddit though only briefly as it takes a while to go back and forth. They've claimed that my being banned was entirely non-political. And while I'm honestly trying to trust them on that, this all still strikes me as a ridiculous overreaction at best. In other news, it seems that, while I'm still banned, my post that started this has been reapproved. Or something. I'm not sure how that works. Most likely in a show of good faith that the mods are trying not to stifle politically charged content. That's how I've chosen to interpret it, at least if you're interested in furthering that conversation I welcome you to do so. Unfortunately I just won't be able to participate. Thank you again though. It makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside to know just how many good people there are out there in their Reddit community. It's too often that the bad ones hog the spotlight. So thank you all for being so great. This is 100% freaked up mods. I want Trump gone as much as anyone. But honest open dialogue is how we get there. Not bans. Come on. Yes, that just makes people push back and not want to listen to anyone not conservative-leaning. Bull crap like this will more likely keep Trump in office than not. He tried to, but the mods removed it, then removed his comment about it. Frick the mods for this behavior. 2016, haha, how bad could he be? 2020, real freaking bad. Holy crap, I can 100% recall myself saying this right after someone told me voting for Jill Stein was a vote for Trump. I was pissed about Bernie and didn't want to vote for Hillary. I was like, whatever, I hope he does win. It'll make people realize he's a moron and what's the worst that could happen. Back when I thought checks and balances was a real thing. Here we are. Back when I thought checks and balances was a real thing. Here we are. That's what I don't understand at all. He's like Teflon Don. Nothing sticks. How is he able to continue day after day being stupid, corrupt and just plain evil and nothing whatsoever comes of it? Bill Clinton was impeached for BJ and Cheeto Benito does whatever the hell he wants with no consequence. I wrote Bernie in because I hate both of them. Good job wasting your vote. There's no use lamenting a crappy binary system. Actively choose the lesser evil and then push for a better set of choices for the next election. What's the worst that could happen? Will this really change your life? Will you die? Turns out yes. The coronavirus was a game changer. I was initially surprised when more people approved of Trump's handling of COVID than disapproved. In March, when there were already around 15,000 daily cases, 55% approval. But I'm heartened that more and more people are coming to their senses of how badly Trump handled it. 34% approval now. I talked to a few people who are still supporters who feel he did a good job. Their main argument is basically, he did the best he could. This was inevitable. They don't have much to say after you point out that there are many countries out there that either never had to deal with this because they locked down early, did rampant testing and quarantining, and or are already on the rebound from this. Meanwhile, we're leading in cases trailed only by Brazil, a third world, poverty-ridden country. Ironically, Trump's typical racist-inspired isolationist stance of closing off the country to foreigners would have worked in this instance. Gestures broadly at everything. I was asked this a while ago and the best answer I have is that he was the Republican candidate and growing up in a Republican household I was expected to vote them no matter what. Now that I'm older I'm going to keep my vote more private and honestly the idea of being associated with a political party does not appeal to me. There will never be a candidate who aligns exactly with your views. I look at it this way. I adore my husband. I married him. And I still don't agree with him on everything all of the time. Not to make light of your situation in any way, couldn't you have voted any which way and just told him what he wanted to hear to sidestep that threat? Not op. But my mom was in this exact situation with my dad. He always threatened her about who to vote for, and basically everything. And instead of taking that moment of independence in the secure anonymity of the booth, she did as told. When you're living in a system of abuse and have been for years, the fear is all-consuming and you have to weigh the risk of doing anything as you wish instead of as you've been told. If you vote, act how you want and get intensely questioned about it later, you may break and show some sign that you rebelled. And now it's punishment time. Even if you obey but can't be 100% convincing that you did. Punishment time. You learn not to even try to assert your sense of self because it's literally dangerous. Chronic abuse and control can really get in your head. It's a very sensitive situation and I'm no psychologist. Just sharing what I saw and how my mom and I talked about it in the years after we ran away. She can vote for who she wants to now and even if I don't agree with her choice, I will never try to influence her decision. Edit. Y'all are too kind with those awards. Thank you. I'm touched that our experience resonated with you. I'm smart enough to not make the same mistake twice. Thanks for watching LWIAR 2. The best of all time r/AskReddit submissions and comments. If you like this video, check out the original LWIAR channel. And don't forget to like and subscribe.